All right, let's do one more if conditional. We're going to declare a variable, age, set it equal to 18. Since I'm recording this during an election year, let's determine if the person can vote. So if age, now we're going to use a new operator. I have not yet introduced conditional operators, but now we'll use one, and then we'll look at them in more detail in the next movie. So we want to see if age is equal to or greater than 18. Okay, 18 being the voting age. So let's go ahead and determine that. So we put a greater than symbol, then we put an equal sign, and that means greater than or equal to, and put 18 there. Then we put our curly braces. If it is greater than or equal to 18, then we're going to console log. You are old enough to vote. And then put a semicolon at the end. I want to do one more thing. I want to declare one more variable, so I'm going to put a comma, come across, and enter variable can vote. And that's all. So if they are old enough to vote, I'm going to set the can vote variable equal to true. Else console.log you are not old enough to vote. And now let's set the can vote variable equal to false. All right, so let's go ahead and save this and then run this in a browser. I'm going to refresh this page. It says you are old enough to vote. Let's change that to 17. Refresh again. You are not old enough to vote. Great. Okay, so I'm going to make one more change the way we're doing this. Notice that in this case we checked to see if the voting age, if the age variable was greater than or equal to 18. If so, they're old enough to vote. And then we set the can vote variable to true. Well, how about if we do this? Instead of logging, let's set can vote equal to false. I'm just showing you another way to do this sort of problem, because it will get you thinking more about how you use if statements, how you can use booleans. And so I initially set the can vote variable to false, indicating that the person cannot vote. Then I do a single if statement without an else, no else clause, and I say if the age is greater than 18, then we change and set can vote to true. Then down here we do simply one more if statement, if can vote. That's all we have in it. Notice this does not have an operator. There is no operator in there. It is simply checking to see if this evaluates to true or false. And notice we're setting the variable to true or false, so it will evaluate to either true or false. If it evaluates to true, I'm just going to put you can vote now instead of getting lengthy. Else, you can't vote. Console.log. Whoops. Quotes. You can't vote. Okay. So just another approach to this. Let's see how this one works. I'm going to save this. I'm going to jump out to my HTML page, refresh it. You can't vote because we have it set to 17, right? So if I change that to 19, jump back, refresh the page, you can vote. Okay, so just another approach, another way to show you if the conditional in the if statement. In this case, is simply a variable. It's checking to see if it is true or false. We'll talk a little bit more about truthy and falsy in a subsequent movie. Alright, so far in this movie you have seen some basic if statements. We've checked to see if a username was available by checking to see if it were equal to undefined. We checked to see if a number was odd or even by dividing it by 2, retaining the remainder using the modulus operator, and then checking to see if the modulo of the number was 0 or some other number. And that determined whether it was true or false. And then finally, we played a bit with the age variable, checking to see if someone could vote or not. And we did that a couple of different ways. Checking to see if it were greater than or equal to a number. Then we also used just a variable, seeing if that variable was true or false. Okay, let's take a more in-depth look at conditional operators.